Here's 3 things that you need to know about the spinnerbait before you get on the water. Let's get started. So unless you're new to bass fishing, you probably already know what the spinnerbait is, and you've probably already used it several times, and you've probably even already mastered it, but it never hurts to have a few more helpful tips for your tackle box to make you more effective on the water, because at the end of the day, the spinnerbait is probably one of the most fish catchingest baits out there, and it's a basic, easy to use bait. The first thing I have for y'all is the rod and reel setup. Whenever it comes to my rod setup, I like a nice 6'8" to 7-foot rod. And again, that depends on your size, adjust accordingly. If you're a shorter stature person, maybe something smaller. If you're a bigger person, maybe something bigger. But I like a nice 6'8" to 7-foot rod, and I like a nice slow reel. I keep it 6'8" or slower because whenever I'm retrieving this bait, I slow roll it, but we'll get more into that here in a second. The second thing I have for y'all is your line selection, because if you're going to catch a fish, you got to be able to get it in. And for me personally, whenever it comes to my line for throwing a spinnerbait, I like a nice heavy fluorocarbon. I stick with something 15-pound test or higher at all times, no matter how clear the water is. At the clearest, I will go with a 15-pound test, but if I'm fishing darker, murkier water, if there's a lot of cover, a lot of laydowns, I'm going to pick up something 18, 20-pound test, because you're going to be fishing this around a lot of cover. This isn't really an open water bait. This is something you want to throw in your brush, laydowns, stuff like that, and you don't want to take a chance of breaking off because your line is too light. So make sure you stick with a nice, heavy fluorocarbon. And the third thing I got for you is your retrieve, because with this bait, just like any other bait, but this bait especially, your retrieve is really going to determine how many fish you catch with it. So whenever you take this bait, cast it out there next to your log, your laydown, whatever the cover is, grass line that you're fishing, and start reeling the bait in nice and slow. Nice and slow. Throw a few little pops in and keep your rod tip nice and low, and just throw in a few little pops. Maybe the occasional just quick pause. But when you're retrieving it, you don't necessarily want to just do a straight retrieve back. You want to be doing nice little subtle pops with it, so you make that skirt flare up and do all sorts of crazy things. Because at the end of the day, this bait is mostly off of reaction bites. You're going to catch your bass off of reaction bites. And whenever you give it that subtle pop, or whatever you're doing with it, pause, hop, anything you're doing, speeding up, slowing down, that's when you're going to trigger your reaction bite. And another little tip for you is your trailer selection. For me personally, I love to use those little Kitech Easy Swimmers, and on these Blue Rock spinner baits, they have a great little bait keeper, so you don't have to use super glue, and it's not going to come off there because it's not going to break off with that nice little metal bait keeper. I hope this video helped. I really hope y'all enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I love y'all, and I'll see you in the next video.